and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast.
A show dedicated to the realness of organization and entrepreneurship. This space was created for every woman who needs motivation or inspiration to get organized and to keep going after her dream. I'm your host, Angel J. Sit back and prepare for valuable tips, resources, laugh, and much more. If this is your first time here, welcome and thanks for joining. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Okay, I have no idea where today's episode is going to go. So the title of it, as you saw, is Whose Business Are You Working On? I've had so many thoughts in so many different directions that I have wanted this episode to go in. I actually recorded an episode and I thought that was what I wanted, but I kept waiting and I hadn't put it out yet, and I just didn't know why I hadn't put it out yet. And I think maybe I realize now, I don't know. But so some of it's written down, some of it I'm just winging, but we're going to see where this goes. Okay, whose business are you working on? And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, duh, Angel, I'm working on my business. Are you really though? And so this episode, well, just this whole thought process has come about from a combination of a number of things. I'm pretty sure that I've told y'all before. I've said on one of my episodes, maybe it was an episode I was a guest on, but I'm not sure. But anyways, that I always have a hard time promoting myself. Like, I will promote someone else's business crazy. I will post, I will reshare, I will tell everybody about it. But then when it comes to my business, I get tight-lipped. I don't say anything. I remember when I was doing my crafting business and I was making masks, and masks were really popular. And there'd be times that my mom and we were out and I'd have my mask on and people would be like, oh, that's a really nice mask. And I'm like, thank you. And she kind of looked at me. She's like, well, she made the mask. And they'd be like, oh, really? I'd like for you to make one for me. And she's like, you got to speak up and tell people. And even when I was doing shirts and stuff, people would be like, oh, that's a nice shirt. Or my husband would have on our shirts. And I'd be like, oh, your shirt's cool. And he'd kind of look at me and he'd be like, oh yeah, my wife made it. They're always like, why don't you talk about yourself? Talk about your business. And I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know if part of it was the imposter syndrome or just not thinking that I was good enough or what it was. It finally hit me I don't know, mid 2023 or something. It finally just hit me. I think when I was on my break when I took my break in July to just kind of refocus, and I was like, I'm always putting so much effort into everyone else's business. I'm always giving everyone else these ideas and telling them different things and stuff that they should implement into their business. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, that's their prerogative or whatever. But I'm like, why am I not doing these things in my business? Why am I not implementing these things in my business? I can do this. This is stuff that will resonate with my business. And I was still just scared and wouldn't necessarily do it. So when I started I had been doing the podcast for a while, and when I started getting guest spots on other people's podcasts, I always send them to my mom and my husband for them to listen to. After pretty much everyone, my mom would call me and she'd be like, why aren't you taking your own advice? And so when I go on other people's podcasts, I'm usually talking about public relations and how solopreneurs, small business owners, entrepreneurs, how they can incorporate public relations into their business, because public relations is important for any business. It's your brand's image. It's how people get to know you. It's, what people, I would tell different tips and things that people can do to incorporate public relations in their business and make sure that they're doing it. And my mom will call me and she'd be like, well, one tip that I said on one of the shows was a way to get yourself out there is to wear a shirt or something that's showing your business. Like if your kids play sports, wear your shirt to their sporting events to show off your business. And she's like, I never saw you wear a shirt to any of the soccer games. Yeah, I didn't have, shirts for my business at the time. She's like, well, you should have got shirts. Or she'd be like, you never did any of this stuff. You don't do any of the stuff that you're out here telling everybody else to do. And I was like, I know. And she's like, you've got to start working on your own business. You've got to start putting effort into your business. She's like, it's great that you want to help people out, but you have to talk about your own business. I was like, yeah, I get it. I'm trying to do better. So the past few months I have been doing better with posting my business and talking about it and posting it on my personal Facebook, posting putting it on my personal page, listeners that I would have never gotten if I hadn't taken that chance and put it out there and posted it. And so I really am trying to be more intentional in trying to do better with getting myself out there. I did a Facebook Live because I'm sorry, not a Facebook Live. I did an Instagram Live because on my way to my job one day, I was listening to another podcast, and the podcast was like saying, you need to promote yourself. Oh, that's what my mom keeps telling me. That's what I keep telling myself. And so on the live, I just said something like along the lines of like, you have to be willing to promote yourself. If you're not willing to promote yourself, you can't expect other people to promote you. If you're not willing to share your business on your own Facebook page, why should someone else be willing to share your business or to talk about your business? And so a lot of times I would like say to myself, I'm like, oh, I'm always sharing everyone else's business and promoting everyone else's business, and no one ever shares my business. And I mean, nobody has to do anything for you. Like what people do on their Facebook page is like their prerogative. But I would just like think to myself, I'm like, oh, it's because my business isn't good enough, or people aren't interested in my business because nobody like ever shares it. But no, people weren't taking me seriously because I wasn't taking myself seriously. So if I'm not taking myself seriously, why should I expect somebody else to take me seriously? If I'm always hiding in the corner and refusing to talk about my business, or shying away or changing the subject when somebody else is like, oh yeah, this is her business, this is what she does. If I'm always shying away from that, why should anybody else try to help me out or boost me up or anything? Your own hype person. If nobody else believes in your business but you and God, guess what? That is all that matters. You two are the only two that matter. And that's not bragging or trying to be boastful or trying to throw shade or anything like that. That is just saying that, hey, I have this business, I'm doing this thing, and I'm proud of myself. I believe in myself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and believe that you can do it, how do you expect to get those clients? How do you expect to get those customers? How is a client or a customer supposed to believe in you if you're not even showing that you believe in yourself? So focus on your business and work on your business just as much or more than you would work on somebody else's. And I'm not saying that you can't help someone. Like, it's great to have business besties and accountability partners, people that you can bounce ideas off of and talk things out with. Like, that is so wonderful, so great. But you also need to be putting that same effort into your business. So the second part of this, which is where I felt like the ideas were going together, they were clashing. Well, so when I first thought about this episode, the first part of it that I thought about was like the part that I just talked about. But then while I was driving to work one day, I had the second part of this came in, which was actually the part that I originally recorded. But now I just feel like it all needs to go together. Whose business are you working now? Are you working your business, or are you working on God's business? We're going to believe in ourselves. We're going to promote ourselves. We're going to gas ourselves up. We're going to talk about ourselves just as much or more than we do, other people. We're going to invest into ourselves and our business. But it's not your business, or it shouldn't be it should be God's business, because he's the one that's given you these gifts and these talents. He's the one that's given you this idea for your business. And so how do you know if you're working on God's business or if you're working on your business? When you're working on God's business, you don't always know the full plan. Sometimes you don't even know half of the plan. You are just going out there and you are literally like stepping out on faith. And they always say, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plan. So yeah, you can have your business plan written down. You can have everything written down. If it's not God's plan, then guess what? That whole plan is just going to go out the window. I'm not saying don't plan, don't write stuff down, because you should. You should also once you write it down, you should pray about it and ask God if that's his plan. A lot of times things are just going to go in a completely different direction than what you thought they were or what you expected them to. But when you're working on your business, you never deviate from the plan. You do not welcome unexpected surprises, and you do everything in your power to stick to your plan and to make your plan work, because you think that it's your business. It's not. I mean, it's just not your business. If you're just trying to make your plan work and you're like, nope, this is what I have planned, this is how it's gonna go, then that's how you know you're not working on God's business. Are you in business for the right reason? Did you start your business because you wanted to get rich and you wanted to have a lavish house and cars and all the latest fashion? Or did you start your business because you saw a problem and you wanted to provide a solution to that problem? Or you wanted to help people, but not because you necessarily wanted recognition for it. Or, well, you wanted to help people, but not because you wanted recognition for it or because you wanted the accolades for it. It's because you truly wanted to make a difference and leave a positive impact on the world. If it's for the latter, then you're definitely working on God's business. But if it's for the former, you're working on your own. Yes, of course, you want to make money in your business. Like, that's what a business is supposed to do. A business is supposed to make money. But making money in a business takes time. And if your only reason, if your sole purpose for starting a business was so that you could get rich and make money, you're going to be in for a world of disappointment and you're going to want to give up way quicker. Like, in business, you hear a lot, what's your why? Remember your why. Your why has to be more than money. And yes, you need money. I'm not going to say what makes the world go round, but you need money to do things, to buy things, to purchase things. But if your sole purpose for starting a business was money, you don't have a why, because there's going to be times when the money is not flowing in. And what are you going to do during that time? That's why you have to have a purpose, a reason, a problem that you're trying to solve, someone that you're trying to help, something that you're trying to get accomplished. Because when you're going through that slow season, your why is what's going to keep you going and keep you pushing to keep going so that you can get back to that season of making money and making an income. When you're working on your business, you may get all the riches, all the accolades, and all of the praise, but it will not make a bit of difference if you're tired and you're burnt out and you're stressed out, annoyed, missing time with your family, and missing key moments in your children's lives. When you're working on God's business, you'll get the time that you need with your family. You'll get the rest you'll need. You will get what you need to grow your business. And it may take time, but it will come. And I'm speaking from experience, I should say. With my craft business, I told you all it started off because I wanted to do tote bags. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do these tote bags. And then the tote bags weren't selling. So did I stick with it? No, I jumped onto the next hottest thing. That wasn't working. I jumped onto the next hottest thing until I finally got frustrated and I got burnt out. And I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore, because I was just jumping from thing to thing. I was working on my business and not working on God's business. And therefore, when the chips were down and the money wasn't coming in like I wanted to, I didn't remember my why, because I did remember my why. My why was to make money, and I wasn't making money. So there was no reason for me to keep going and keep doing it. Even when I first started this business, it was kind of similar of, me, like, okay, I want like the extra money. And as well, you all may not know this. I think it's on my webpage in my About Me section, but I don't think I've ever shared this with you all before. And so my business actually started off as a virtual assistant business because I just wanted to like make extra money. And I was like, oh, virtual assistant, easy way to make extra money. I don't have to go anywhere. Like, I can do it all from a computer. Perfect. And that was just my main focus, was making the extra money. And then when it wasn't coming, I was starting to get frustrated. And then when I realized that when I was like doing virtual assistant type stuff, it usually ended up leading to more public relations type things. And when I switched over to public relations, that's when I finally kind of started to gain more focus and be like, okay, whose business am I working on? Why am I doing this business? And I actually sat down and wrote out my why and wrote out the purpose of my business. I have a vision for my business, and I also have God in my business. And so at the time of this recording, because I don't know when this episode will come out, but at the time of this recording, it's November 2023. Is my business where I want it to be, where I would like for it to be, where I'm praying for it to be? No, it's not. But I also see God working in my business. I see things happening in my business that's coming. And when I was doing my crafting business, I didn't see these things. I didn't feel these things coming. even when I first started with the virtual assistant business, like I didn't feel these things. I didn't feel these things coming. Decided to work on God's business and not my business. I feel these things coming. I see these things coming. I know that these things are coming. He has told me where I need to put my focus, where I need to put my effort, and where I need to do my work at. And honestly, when he told me, I was like, "Really? That's what you want me to do?" But I'm seeing it. Like I'm starting to see some of his plan. I'm seeing what he wants me to see of his plan. Just think about it. Like, whose business are you working on? You should first be working on God's business, and then, well, you should first be focused on God's business. You should first be focused on God's business, and then second, you should be focused on the business that God gave you. Then next, let's focus on everyone else's and helping them out. The next time that you get frustrated, just think to yourself, am I working on... Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon.